Alright, everybody, it looks like we got ourselves a new one. This here is Twisted Minds True Crime. Video is Memphis went into lockdown when a 19-year-old live streamed his deadly rampage. 3 life sentences and 221 years. Must be one hell of a rampage. Let me just make sure shit's good. There we go. Sorry about that. Let's see what this here new channel I just found is cooking, shall we?
Why Kelly will never walk free again. Kelly's 3 life sentences were handed down with no possibility of parole.
Kelly's attorneys, the district attorneys who have been working this case from the very beginning. In fact, I heard from DA Steve Mulroy and Ezekiel Kelly's attorney, Mike, just moments after the sentence was handed down to Ezekiel Kelly. And both of them were really glad that this case has finally come to an end.
About that day, everything that occurred, I acknowledge. Yeah, there's nothing I can say to neither of the victims or the victim family.
Interesting. Pled guilty and still got a fucking bunch of life sentences on a Star Trek number next to it. I'm guessing this just to get out of death.
Your name is Ezekiel. It's come from a word in the Bible. Fairness. But you can't see yourself. You have lost yourself. Only way you can find yourself is through God.
Ezekiel Kelly was 19 years old. By every measure of ordinary life, he was still a young man standing at the threshold of something. He had a face that people from his Raleigh neighborhood in North Memphis recognized.
Well, if he looked like that, he probably just had anger. That's what people fucking recognize.
He had a mother, he had a past, and on the morning of September 7th, he had a plan that nobody around him fully understood, not even perhaps himself.
So no father, gotcha.
The night did not begin with sirens. It began with something far more intimate and far more disturbing.
Right.
A small gathering, friends, a backyard, the smell of food cooking. One of the men at that gathering was 24-year-old Dwayne Tunstall, known to those close to him as Amir, a young man with dreams that stretched beyond his neighborhood. He had been excitedly telling the group about his upcoming food truck business. He had cooked for them that night.
Ah, so this guy was trying to get he was trying to get a good career going. Them food trucks, man, they can make a lot of money.
Chicken in the backyard. The kind of ordinary evening that you don't think twice about.
Right.
Until it becomes the last thing someone ever does. Kelly was there. Quiet, according to witnesses, but not peaceful. At some point during the evening, he made comments that should have stopped the night cold.
Right.
He said, with an eerie calm that no one present could fully explain afterward, that he was going to kill someone.
You know, call me crazy, but if somebody's all calm and cool and collected and they say they're gonna kill somebody, I'm getting the fuck out. Like, for real shit, man. We ain't talking for a little while. Like, real shit, man. You gotta be careful, man. Nowadays, you cannot. That is not a joke, especially if you say that shit deadpan. No, ain't nobody treating that as a joke no more.
People who heard him likely dismissed it. People say dark things. People joke in ways that aren't funny.
Like I said, that ain't no damn joke.
Nobody reached for a phone. Nobody walked away. Then Kelly said 2 words that, in hindsight, are among the most chilling ever uttered before a crime.
Right?
Watch this. He pulled out a Glock 45, modified with a device that converts a semi-automatic handgun into something far more lethal.
Oh, a Glock switch?
And he shot Dwayne Tunstall in the head, right there, in the driveway, in front of witnesses.
Damn, just shot him, but for no fucking reason.
With no argument, no escalation, no warning that anyone could point to and say, that was the moment it began. The 3 other men panicked. They scrambled into a car and screamed at Kelly to stay away.
What the fuck was that sound effect? Y'all trying way too hard to make this a horror video with that voice and now this fucking dumbass sound effect. Come on now. Looking like the story's more than enough.
When he tried to join them, something had fractured. Something in the social contract of that night had been destroyed beyond recovery. Kelly watched them flee. Then he got into his own car, an Infiniti G37, and the city of Memphis became his.
Damn, an Infinity? Okay, this fucking crazy kid was doing well for himself. A goddamn Infinity? Woo! You know what I call it, Infinity? That's how long it takes to pay for the motherfucker.
An Infiniti G37, and the city of Memphis became his. What follows in the hours after that first shot is where this case takes on a psychological dimension that criminologists and behavioral experts still struggle to fully articulate. Because Kelly did not run, he did not hide, he did not call someone in panic or spiral into visible remorse.
What'd he do?
Instead, he drove, he waited, he planned his next stop, and at some point in the late afternoon, he did something that placed this case in a category almost entirely its own. He opened Facebook Live. He pointed the camera at himself, at the streets of Memphis, at the acts he was committing, and he broadcast it in...
Okay, now we're just seeing a guy who's crying out for attention. That's what this is. All right, I see where we're going with this. Okay, yeah, not a fucking brain rotted idiot at all.
Real time to anyone watching. This was not the frantic, unintentional footage of a bystander's phone. This was deliberate. This was performance. And the question that haunts every person who has studied this case since is the same one nobody has been able to fully answer. Why did he want people to watch?
Imagine, like, you one of his homeboys, or worse, you one of his family, right? You get a fucking little ping. I don't know how Facebook works. I haven't used social media in fucking years. But, like, you get a little ping. Hey, your homie's live streaming. Right? You go in, you fucking turn that shit on. Maybe you go to the house and you Chromecast that bitch if you're close enough. And this is what you see. What are the thoughts that run through your head? I know it would surprise the fuck out of me, I'll tell you that much.
There is a psychological concept known as audience hunger, a need particularly acute in a generation raised on social media.
Oh yeah.
To have one's existence witnessed and validated by others.
Yeah, I don't get it. I ain't from that generation, so it's like the idea that I would need to be validated, right? That's weird to me. Like I know that sounds odd coming from a guy doing a YouTube video, but you'll notice I don't really talk about myself that much. You know, I do gameplay, I do reacts like I'm doing now, but I don't do a lot of hey, here's what Jesse's doing. You know, that's not my kind of content, because you know what I'm doing is what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I don't care what the fuck you're doing. You know, it weirds me out to see how so many people are like, they want everybody to see every detail of their life. Man, I don't want y'all to see every detail of my shit. Fuck out of here.
In its healthiest form, it produces artists, athletes, storytellers.
Right.
In its most distorted form, it produces something like what Memphis witnessed on September 7th. Not a man spiraling out of control, but a man who felt, perhaps for the first time, entirely in control, and who needed the world to see it. At 5:56 p.m., something remarkable happened that speaks to the complicated fabric of Kelly's life.
What, somebody, he got picked up by somebody?
His own mother and his sister called police. They had seen the live stream. They reckoned.
Well, there's that answer.
His own mother and his sister called police. They had seen the live stream. They recognized their son, their brother, and they called 911. Think about what that moment required of them. The grief, the horror, the impossible weight of that decision.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because the instant you make that call, you know you're never seeing your family member again. Right? Either they're going to get killed in the shootout, or they're going to go far the fuck away to some prison in the middle of nowhere for a very long time. You make that call to police and you are throwing that motherfucker away. That is so heavy. I can only imagine what that poor mother was feeling.
They told police that the man on Facebook Live was Ezekiel Kelly. By that point, Memphis had already begun to tremble. The city's public bus system shut down completely.
Fair.
2 college campuses went on lockdown. At AutoZone Park, a minor league baseball game was halted mid-play. Players were pulled off the field. Fans were told to shelter in place. Thousands of residents were frantically texting family members, pressing their faces to windows, trying to understand what was unfolding outside. The alert that went out was stark and terrifying in its simplicity. There is an armed and dangerous man driving across this city, and we do not yet know where he will stop next.
That's yeah. That's right to the point. I know if I got an alert on my phone that said, "Yo, there's a crazy motherfucker just driving. We don't know where he is," I would find a building. I would find a bathroom. I would fucking make sure that the door closes inward, and then I'd lean against the door, maybe sit, and I'd wait that motherfucker out. 'Cause I'm not trying to get shot. That's real shit.
God wanted me to cause no harm. God wanted me to do any of these things. I didn't want it to happen like this. For me, a thing to change my life, something to change my life, people like this, for me to change. I didn't see no life the way I was headed. The way I would live, I want to live in the righteous path.
Your name is Ezekiel. It's come from a word in the Bible. Fairness. But you can't see yourself. You have lost yourself. Only way you can find yourself is through God.
You have to be aware of what's in your heart. Always think of what's in your heart.
3 more shootings followed after that first police alert.
Right.
2 more carjackings. Kelly moved through Memphis like someone who had decided the rules no longer applied to him, and the live stream kept running, carrying his face into the phones and laptops of a watching world.
Okay. Did the description say when this happened again? September 2022. Why the fuck is Facebook not taking this down already? Like, the pressure on Meta to turn this fucking stream off must be immense, because it's got to be, he's got to be, like the guy said earlier, this has got to be for attention. You know, the best way to stop this shit is to starve the attention, and once that happens, you know, maybe he'll stop fucking shooting.
The rampage lasted hours, from that first shot just before 1 a.m. to his arrest at nearly 9 p.m., almost 20 hours in which Ezekiel Kelly moved through his own city, broadcast his actions, and dared anyone to stop him. 3 people lost their lives, 3 more were wounded, and Memphis, a city already familiar with grief, already acquainted with the exhaustion of urban violence, found itself in a kind of collective shock that was different from anything it had processed before, because this time thousands of people had watched it happen in real time on their phones. The question of what that does to a city, what it does to the people who watched and could not look away, who shared the stream and then felt ashamed for sharing it, who called police and then sat helplessly as the violence continued, is one that Memphis is still reckoning with today. Trauma, psychologists will tell you, does not require direct experience.
Fair enough. Although, imagine just watching that shit, you know? You know, I'll sometimes watch some gameplay. I'll sometimes watch, you know, like sometimes a sports league will stream on a platform like a YouTube or Kick or whatever. I'll check that out. It's pretty cool. But what does it say about people who like watch a crime happening? Like, I know the the Christchurch shooter, you know, the New Zealand case. I know that guy streamed. I think it was also to Facebook. Like, do people think about what they're watching when they're watching it? And heaven forbid sharing it. Like, I can share this shit with somebody. What the fuck, man? What would they think about me? Like, Jesse, what the fuck are you showing me, man? Like, that kind of thing. It amazes me how people are so morbid sometimes. And then they want to bitch about video games. It's weird, man.
Witnessing is enough. And on September 7th, 2022, an entire city was made into witnesses. When Ezekiel Kelly's high-speed chase finally ended, his stolen Dodge Challenger crashing as police closed in, 2 guns were found in the vehicle. He was taken into custody without further incident.
Oh, that's good at least.
Over, but in many ways, the most unsettling part of this story was only just beginning to surface because Memphis did not discover Ezekiel Kelly on September 7th, 2022.
Oh?
The city's criminal justice system had known his name for years. Go back to 2020. Kelly was 17 years old.
Right.
And he was accused of 2 counts of attempted murder and a shooting that also endangered a third person. The system processed him. Juvenile court records were sealed, as they routinely are. But those allegations, 2 counts of attempted murder before he could legally vote.
That's fucked, actually. 2020, this is 2022, so yeah. That is quick. I wonder what the fuck he was doing before.
Were already sitting in a file somewhere. Then came the adult charge, a 2020 shooting involving at least 3 victims. Kelly was initially indicted for attempted first-degree murder.
Okay, I'm gonna have to criticize this video again. If you're talking and a sound effect is playing, you need to balance it out so that you can be heard over the sound. And I know this is I know I have difficulty with this too, right? When I'm playing games or what have you, it's something I struggle with as well. But that dude didn't even seem like he was trying, because he's speaking so softly, and those gunshots were so fucking loud. Like, come on, bro, you gotta try better.
3 victims. Kelly was initially indicted for attempted first-degree murder and reckless endangerment with a firearm. These were serious charges.
Yeah?
These were charges that, had the full weight of the law been applied, would have meant Ezekiel Kelly spending the formative years of his early adulthood behind bars.
Right.
That is not what happened. Kelly was offered a plea deal. He admitted only to aggravated assault, a felony, but a far lesser charge than attempted first-degree murder.
Real shit.
He was sentenced to 3 years. And then, in a detail that would later ignite a public firestorm, he served just 11 months. Ezekiel Kelly walked out of prison on March 16th, 2022.
Okay. We gotta talk about, as you know, a lot of the major cities, your Memphises, your Chicagos, they got a massive backlog, right? It's just case after case after case after case after case, right? And often plea deals are given just to expedite some of these things, you know? As the old saying goes, slam dunk cases very rarely make it to trial, so, you know, so in a lot of cases that are just easy victories for a prosecution, they'll offer the defendant a plea deal just so they can get something on their record, have them serve at least some time, and move things along. Because otherwise, it's just too much for the courts to handle. Now, what we're talking about here, I'm not sure what Memphis's prison situation is. If I had to guess, there's overcrowding issues there, considering Memphis is the most violent state in the most violent city in the country. My apologies. So I'm guessing there's issues with overcrowding in the prisons, and he probably just behaved as best he could while he was there, and managed to get time off for good behavior. And this is what leads us here. Now, we could talk about whether that the whole idea of time off and for good behavior and plea deals and all that shit, we could talk about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in many ways it's practical if you're just running out of space. You know, nobody wants a prison in their backyard, so they're kind of hard to build.
Less than 6 months later, he was driving through Memphis with a modified handgun and a running live stream.
Yep.
When Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland stood before cameras in the raw hours after the rampage and said that these evil actions show why truth in sentencing is a must, he was not speaking in abstractions.
Oh no.
He was speaking directly to the gap between what the system said it would do and what it actually did. The county's top prosecutor and the mayor visibly clashed at that press conference, each aware that the public was watching and that the public had every right to be angry. Youth advocates who knew Kelly from the Raleigh neighborhood described him as a product of streets that raised children the system had largely abandoned.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. By and large, it sounds like he had a pretty good upbringing. He's just another one of these people who wants to be something he ain't.
That framing is neither an excuse nor an absolution. It is a map. It traces how a child accused of 2 attempted murders at 17, later convicted of a violent felony as an adult who served less than a year, could be standing in a backyard on a Wednesday night saying "watch this" to people who had absolutely no idea what was coming. The investigation that followed Kelly's arrest was by any measure enormous.
Oh, I bet.
Prosecutors gathered approximately 400 witnesses and over 300 videos. The breadth of that evidence tells you something about how public this crime was. Not just the live stream, but surveillance cameras, dash cams, phone recordings, and bystanders who filmed from windows as Kelly moved through their neighborhoods.
That's the thing people don't understand. Nowadays, there's cameras fucking everywhere. You do something wild in public, in any sort of public setting, they're gonna get your ass, man. Because there's just so much video out there.
Memphis had been, in the most literal sense, watching the entire time. Kelly's legal journey after his arrest was unusual in its own right.
Oh, I bet.
He initially faced the death penalty. He was charged with over 27 counts, including first-degree murder, attempted murder, terrorism, and carjacking.
That would explain why he went from an Infinity to a Dodge.
At one point, he requested to represent himself, one of the more psychologically perplexing decisions in a case already full of them.
And you know the old saying, the man who represents himself at trial is a fool for a client. And by all accounts, this guy seems like he was a fool.
A judge granted the request. For months, Ezekiel Kelly sat in a courtroom, reviewing hundreds of hours of evidence against himself, theoretically occupying the seat of both the accused and the defense.
Right.
What goes on inside a person's mind during that process is something criminologists can speculate about, but never truly know.
Probably not, but I can't help but think that this is some sort of delay tactic, because like, dude live streamed himself. They got his ass, man. They got his ass dead to fucking rights. What can he say to get out of this?
Kelly eventually reversed course. Attorneys took over his case, and in August 2025, nearly 3 years after the rampage, Ezekiel Kelly changed his plea to guilty on 28 counts.
District Attorney Steve Mulroy says accepting Kelly's guilty plea keeps this case from dragging out in the court system even longer. Mulroy says all of the victims agreed to the deal, including one who spoke exclusively with WREG, Randy Graham.
Ooh.
A little anxiety being that close to him.
Dude, what's with that hair, homie? Bro, you ain't no 15-year-old college girl or high school girl, whatever. I swear to God, man, when I was in school, they were getting so fucking young.
WREG, Randy Graham.
But bro,
being that close to him.
But you are too old for that purple hair.
Stressful. But I also felt relieved because I went in knowing unless the last second he changes his mind, this is it.
He was 22 years old when he stood before Shelby County Judge James Jones Jr. The judge asked him multiple times whether he fully understood what he was giving up by waiving his right to trial. Kelly said he understood, and then the sentence came: 3 life terms to be served consecutively with no possibility of parole, plus 221 additional years. The death penalty was taken off the table.
I don't know, man. If I'm the accused, I kind of want to get put to death, because it'd be easier, you know, than just sitting there and just the helplessness of it all. You know, at least if they kill you, it ends sooner, you know? At least that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments. I just think, I don't know, man. I would not want to but just be sitting there forever, you know?
Every victim's family had approved the deal. In a case this raw, that consensus is worth pausing on, because grief does not always produce agreement, and the fact that the families came together around this outcome speaks to something quiet and dignified in the middle of an otherwise unrelenting tragedy.
Right.
One of the victims was a mother of 3 who worked as a medical assistant at a clinic in nearby West Memphis, Arkansas. She had been going about the ordinary business of her life when Kelly's path crossed hers. Her children are growing up without her. That fact sits at the center of this case,
Right.
like a stone that will not move. Dwayne Tunstall had cooked chicken in a backyard and talked excitedly about his food truck that very night. He never got to open it. The dreams he described in those final hours, ordinary, hopeful, entirely human dreams, died with him in that driveway.
Bro, yeah, that's the thing, man. Like these people were just doing their normal shit, man. You know, I don't know, going to the fucking movies, or, you know, going to work, coming from work. Maybe they're heading to the mall for whatever, you know? You never think when you're just going out that someone's just going to snuff you out like that, you know? You never think today's going to be the day. You know, people always say that, you know, tomorrow is not worth fretting about, but at the same time, you're not even promised tomorrow. So, you know, it's like how does it square having all these dreams and then just that, you know? Do people realize what's going on in that final moment? Do they understand the gravity of what their death means? I don't know, maybe I'm sounding crazy, but it just seems it's just so fucking tragic, man.
Before sunrise. In a strange coda to this story, local reporting indicated that Kelly, from prison, has claimed to have found God. Whether that represents genuine transformation or a narrative constructed for reasons only he understands, no one outside those prison walls can say. What can be said is that Ezekiel Kelly will spend the rest of his natural life, and then 221 years beyond it in the eyes of the law, inside a cell.
It's a good thing he said in the eyes of the law, because I'm pretty sure that when he dies, they'll give up the body, assuming there's anybody there left to take it. You know, I imagine the sister doesn't want fuck all to do with this guy anymore, and mom's gonna be dead before he is. So, you know, they might cremate him, I guess. I mean, I don't know what happens to unclaimed bodies in the prison system. Let me know about that in the comments.
Memphis, meanwhile, continues to reckon with what it means to have watched, because that is the detail that refuses to leave. Not just the violence. Cities have processed violence before, but the watching, the thousands of people who saw it happen in real time, who shared the link before the platform took it down, who could not look away. social media companies have since updated their policies. Researchers have written papers on the psychological effects of witnessing real-time violence. None of it fully addresses the central question that September 7th, 2022 forced into the open. When a 19-year-old points a camera at himself and says, "Watch this," and an entire city does, what does that say about the world we have built?
Oh, that's easy. We're human beings, and it's always been like this. They love to watch crazy shit, you know? Like back in the old days, you'd have people packing a Roman Coliseum to watch motherfuckers get mauled by lions, you know? You had used to have public executions where people would just go and watch somebody get hanged. Just, you know, make a day of it. You know, people always been like that. It's just that social media has made it so much more easy for people. You know what I'm saying? You know, you used to have LiveLink until somewhat recently. I'm sure like there's 50 fucking sites that have replaced it. You got WorldStar to a lesser extent. You know, people like to watch wild shit, and they'll never tell you that. You know, publicly they'll condemn people who do that shit, but they're there watching that shit. So it's how people have always been. You know, why? I don't know. I just know it is, you know?
What does it say about visibility and invisibility, about the young men who feel unseen until the moment they become impossible to ignore?
Right.
This is not a comfortable question. It has no clean answer, but it is the question that Memphis has been sitting with ever since the notifications stopped, the feeds went quiet, and the city was left alone with what it had witnessed. 3 life sentences, 221 years, a courtroom, a judge, a 22-year-old man who said he understood what he was giving up. And somewhere in Memphis, the families of the dead are learning, day by day, how to carry something that was never supposed to be theirs to carry.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. That just seems like such a horrible thing to happen to anybody, you know? Anyway, yeah, great video. Very well made. Like I said before, if I had any complaints, I'd turn up the voice and turn down the volume of the sound effects. You know, I'm trying to get the information. You know what I'm saying? But like, except for that, it's very well delivered, and the story is very compelling. I mean, holy shit! I don't understand. Well, I understand why people watch. I don't understand why people think just out the blue, "Hey, I'm gonna go stream this." You know, just doing something ain't enough. I want people to watch me do something horrific. Like, is it just people feeling like they're not really there? They don't really exist unless somebody else says they exist. I mean, it's a lot of things to think about, you know. I guess that's why we're seeing such a push now to get kids off of social media. You know, see if we can at least slow down the descent into this fucking vanity obsession that seems to have, that while it was always there, seems to have really gotten much bigger with younger generations, you know, especially you know, Zoomers and Alpha, right? It's strange, man. And I don't know what the answer is. If I did, I'd tell you. I'd probably make a lot more money than I'm making now. But like, man, it's all bad, man. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. As always, God bless.